You're listening to The Deranged Nation, a true crime podcast featuring New York Times best-selling paranormal romance author and your host, Teresa Gableman.
Welcome back to Deranged Nation.
Welcome.
Hey, what's
going on?
We are on episode 11, East Fork Mystery, The Disappearance of Paige Johnson. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Hanging in there in this hard time.
Yeah, it is a hard time.
A little bored. A little stir crazy.
Well, you went...
Caught some fish today.
Yeah.
Did some fishing. I think I got some sun. Face feels a little red.
Could have got a tan out there today.
Yeah.
Or maybe I did.
Did some quadding and some dirt bike riding.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
So, can't really complain.
Yep.
I hope you guys are doing good.
Yep. Hope everybody's staying healthy.
So this episode, I remember this happening 10 years ago, pretty much almost 10 years ago, because it happened September 23rd, 2010. But 17-year-old Paige Johnson disappeared on that date 10 years ago, and I remember seeing her picture posted everywhere. I don't know if you guys, what were
Not
you?
really. I was 15, so I don't
Yeah.
even think I had a cell phone with like Facebook on it yet back then.
Right, yeah. I mean,
we'd only get on stuff on the computer.
I was like a freshman
news.
in high school, too.
You couldn't get on Facebook on your phone back then.
Did they have Amber
least I
Alerts then?
Yeah. We
In
would get them through our cell
2010?
I
phones.
believe
I
so.
remember, yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember that, but I'm sure if
I mean, it wasn't like the Stone Age in 2010.
No, I had Facebook and everything, but I had it on a laptop.
It was
and I had to wait.
definitely.
Fire back then?
oh, we're starting out good.
Shit, I hope so.
Yeah, but no, I remember. I don't know. I don't think I really had.
2010, that's...
I always had a prepaid cell phone though.
10 years ago, dude,
So I
literally.
never-
Yeah.
Now pretty much every phone comes equipped with Facebook, and Google, and everything you need to run your daily life. Back
We
then
all
you
need
didn't
that,
know.
don't we?
Back then only rich people had those.
So, the Stone Age. You're cracking me up. Paige was pretty much, she was a cheerleader, very good at gymnastics. Pretty much, everybody said she was a really nice girl. Everybody got along with her. She ended up getting pregnant at 16, had a little girl, and ended up dropping out of Simon Kenton High School. She had a sister, Brittany. Actually, I listened to a podcast called The Vanished, and that was the first one that I listened to. And the reason that we're doing this, something about this case happened today. And I'll tell you guys about that later. But also because it's so close to the area that we're at.
Yeah.
Extremely close.
I grew up in the streets of Williamsburg.
Yeah. So, and like I said, I remember when this happened, seeing her in the pictures. There was also a picture I remember that was posted of her and her little girl. So it was really, and the one thing that the police never closed this case at all. It has stayed open.
Yeah.
So that day, or actually before anything happened, she was trying to get her sister. I hope I'm getting her name right. My notes are upstairs, but I won't make you go back up, Cody. But I believe her sister's name was Brittany, and if I'm wrong, I'll correct myself here in a second. But her sister was older, and Paige had wanted to go out to a party, wanted her sister to go with her. Her sister, was like, no, I got things to do. And her sister had kids also. But so there was a guy that was friends with Brittany's baby daddy, I guess you could say. I don't think they were married or anything. And he offered to, take her where she needed to go. So Paige ended up leaving with a Jacob bum pass. He was 22 years old. So he was older. They were acquaintances. Now,
Was she like 17 at the time?
She was 17. Okay. Yeah, she was 17. I mean, she wasn't, she wasn't like a big party girl, I guess. Right. But she did go out and, we all remember 17.
Yeah.
Some of us is further along than that. Stone Age. Shut up. But, so he said that he would take her, well, with her being 17, Brittany and her mom were, pretty much let her go, do what she was going to do and everything like that. But she didn't take her phone with her. Her phone was out of minutes, so she left her phone home. Paige did. Brittany's phone was also out of minutes. And, my mom still has one of those phones, that you have to buy the minutes and stuff. Yeah. So
I would be like, don't send me stupid text messages. You're wasting every little cent I've got right now.
I know.
Sending dots and stuff, dude.
I know.
Units.
Yeah. The old track, the units. So when she didn't really show, when she didn't show up, they didn't really worry too much about it because they thought, well, she won't stay with a friend, whatever. But as the day wore on, they were like, okay, something's up because Brittany talked to her mom every day.
Right.
Well, they found out, what they did, they called the police to file a missing police report.
Right.
The police pretty much were like, oh, she's 17. Kind of treated it as just hold up, possible maybe runaway. But, they were like, there's no reason for her to run away.
Right.
And her daughter.
Yeah.
She's not going to run away. So they kind of persisted. They started looking around, actually contacted Jacob. And Jacob had said the last time he dropped her off in Covington, Kentucky, in Paige is from Florence. Mm-hmm. So Covington is what? 10 miles. Yeah. From Florence area. Said he dropped her off at Covington at 15th and Scott, which
it's not a very good area.
It's better now.
Good.
But, it's kind of rough,
yeah,
I guess you would say. And he said he dropped her off and he'd never seen her after that or heard from her or anything. So they, put posters out, everything like that. The police started getting more involved. So listening, if you listen to the podcast, you get to hear, Donna, her mom, and Brittany. The one thing that Brittany said, it was very odd that this Jacob didn't help them search.
Yeah.
She's like, even though they weren't like the best of friends, I mean, they had pictures. I actually seen the pictures of them together. And they looked friendly.
Yeah.
And he did not help with the search.
Even though he was the last one to see her too. You would think being the last one to see somebody, you'd probably help.
He'd want to,
yeah.
think if you cared about him, you'd want to help anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Even if you did it, you'd think you'd help.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's true, to kind of throw him off the, the beat.
Nowadays, yeah.
So, he said that he dropped her off at 15th Street and Scott in Covington at approximately 1 a.m. on September 23rd, 2010. And she was supposed to be going back to her sister's.
Yeah.
That's, after the party and everything. She was supposed to go back there. And it was really kind of hard to listen to. And her name is Brittany. I did double check. And it was kind of hard to listen to Brittany because she, to this day really has a hard time. She said if I would have went like Paige wanted me to go.
Yeah.
She would probably still be here.
Yeah.
And Brittany actually went through addiction and everything. She's, clean now, doing great. But it was really kind of hard to listen to, on that. But so her mother, when they reported her that same day at 7:30 p.m. this Jacob wasn't cooperative in the investigation, and he automatically quickly hired an attorney. I mean, I guess if you think maybe,
you think they're making you a suspect, I get it. I would probably hire an attorney too.
If you're getting questioned, for sure.
Yeah,
Question without one.
No.
He refused a lie detector test.
Those aren't really that.
Yeah, well, it's not admissible in court,
right.
But so the way that he also said where he went through that whole time, and his cell phone pings did not end up going with his story. So
the alibi doesn't fit.
No. Something's not right.
No. And the police believe that his account of the disappearance is untrue. He was supposed to be dropping her off in Covington. His cell phone pings indicated he was in Florence, Kentucky at that time. So, we were right. Florence is about 10 miles away.
Yeah.
And that's where Paige is from.
Right.
They actually searched his apartment and vehicles and found red stains and 2 latex gloves in the kitchen sink, but the stains were not blood. Jacob has had, and we want to say too that, everybody is innocent until proven guilty.
Right,
so
course.
He's just a person of interest.
He was just a person of interest.
Yep.
So he had a prior conviction of felony theft. He served 2 years and 9 months of an 8-year sentence and was on parole at the time of Paige's disappearance. In October 2010, he was jailed for violating his parole, and he had weapons and alcohol in his home, and he admitted to using drugs. His parole was revoked, and he will not be eligible. Well, he was eligible for release from prison in 2013. So around midnight, about an hour before Jacob says he last saw her, Paige sent, and this gives me the chills. Paige sent a message to her older sister saying that she needed to talk to her immediately. And she didn't say what it was about and, what the message, anything, how significant it was. It was unclear.
Well, was that from somebody else's phone or something?
Because that, exactly. Phone, right? And it was a 51, I think they said it was a 513 area code, which is...
They don't know who, though?
She, she texted her sister that information. Well, her sister, because her sister's phone, she didn't, she messaged her on Facebook, is what it was. And she never checked it. So when she seen it, can you even imagine how you would feel?
No, and you didn't get to it.
I don't know. It's crazy. But there, from the time that she was missing up for like 9 years, like hundreds of leads came in. They actually had a lead in Knox County, and they dug an Olympic-size hole, like a pool-size hole, looking for her, and it wasn't
a bust.
Yeah, it wasn't anything, and they ran into a lot of that.
Yeah.
So there's another guy that I'm not going to name because they don't name him, and he was never a person of interest, which I think is kind of weird, but he was actually a friend of Jacob's. And he's not an upstanding citizen himself. He actually was charged with rape. He was known getting girls drunk, doing things, trying to get with them. And he actually, but this is after the fact of with Paige that he actually went to jail for rape. So I don't know. They think that more people were involved. Yeah. There's more people, this guy, Jacob, that know exactly what happened to her. And,
Yeah, they probably knew exactly whose phone it was, too. You have to think, whoever's phone, they know exactly who it is, even though they're not going to mention that.
Yeah. And, even, I don't want to say I almost gave the news away, but, He does admit that he did give her a few beers, and she was a minor. He was on probation.
Right.
That's a big no-no. But that's all he admitted to. And he never offered any help with the investigation. And like I said, he lawyered up real quick and refused to take a lie detector test. What they did find out was Jacob's cell phone pings that night were Edgewood, where his mom and his brother was. Then it went to Kellogg Avenue, which, for those of you that don't know, where he said he dropped her off, I mean, you can look, and right across the river is Ohio.
Yeah.
So it's not, I'd say from Covington to Ohio is what, maybe 5 minutes from that area?
Oh,
Easy. But, so it went to Kellogg Avenue and then to East Fork Lake. And what's crazy about the East Fork part is the ping came off a tower inside of the park.
Right.
And he never mentioned anything about that,
Being out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was inside the park. It was around 3:30 in the or 3:40 in the morning. Then he made a Facebook post that said, "like a fish," and that was it. So some people say that that's a code. Yeah,
Oh, come on.
that early in the morning.
Wait, say that again?
Like a fish. So some people say that was code for being drunk.
Yep. It could be very well.
And some people said that she was at this party and Jacob and another person was like not carrying her out, but hefting her out.
Yeah.
She was kind of messed up.
Yeah.
But they had so many people saying different things that they don't really know what to believe. They do believe that the mom and them feel that maybe things went too. They were thinking that maybe things went too far. This other guy was kind of into heroin. Maybe they gave her something. This is what the family was thinking could have happened.
Right now, though, you wouldn't be able to tell that long if it was even something that caused her death, probably.
Yeah.
Then he said something. He posted, the last post that he did that night was, and I didn't understand this at all, "There must be something to cure this insomnia." So those were the two Facebook posts that he made, which was kind of strange. But, and like I said, I can't say the other person's name, but the family really thinks that he is involved also.
Yeah.
And it was,
Well, if he's looking at doing more time, he might talk.
That's probably why they don't want to say anything, because they're trying to get him to speak on it.
Yeah.
So, this dude,
they're probably like, there's nothing out in the public saying that you did it right now, dude,
when this guy went to jail for the rape, the police actually went to him and wanted him to take a lie detector test, a lie detector test on Paige.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he would if he was promised not to be charged with anything concerning the case.
He knows something.
Hello.
Ding, 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 ding.
And they know
He
that.
did
They
take
know
the
that.
test, and it was okay, this is what he said. He says he wanted to be promised not to face any charges if Paige's body was ever found. And he did fail the test when it came to knowing where she was, but they still didn't get the information of where that was.
So they knew he was lying, but he just didn't give up.
Yeah. And the thing of it is, even with like all this crazy stuff, her body was not found. So, they couldn't say that she had been killed, murdered, or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
So even with, the pings, this guy lying, he was definitely a person of interest because he was that's kind of
The last one to see her.
Yeah, that's kind of every crime, thing you watch.
Right.
That's going to be a person of interest for the police. And like I said, the family thought that she was given drugs and alcohol and things went terribly wrong to cover up, and something happened and they had to cover it up.
Yeah.
So this is kind of weird. And I didn't get the date. Let's see. I didn't get the date, but I did a little digging on Facebook.
Yeah.
And like I said, innocent until proven guilty. I'm not saying one way or another, whatever.
Right.
But supposedly, I did look to see if he had a Facebook page. And I kind of did a little research on that. Well, you could only see one post from like 19 weeks ago. And then I seen someone with the same last name that posted. I don't know who this is of the family.
Right.
And I'm talking about Jacob. And on her last post, somebody was posted a picture of his Facebook page and saying it's awful funny that he's deleting everything now. And I'll tell you why in a minute. And that was, like I said, only one post shit up there.
Thing you could see, yeah.
Yeah. And then...
It don't matter. You can delete it, but it's still there.
Yeah.
So...
Dude, yeah.
Another thing that I found that was kind of weird. 2012... and this is from Fox 19 News. Jacob Bumpass, a person of interest in the Paige Johnson case, was struck on the back of the head with a tire iron on his first day back to work. And I guess that was after he got out of jail. Mm-hmm. The Cincinnati Enquirer is reporting that Thomas J. Schneider, 49, is accused of the crime. Police say that Bumpass and his brother were both struck by a man unknown to them in the parking lot of his workplace. Bumpass, who was the last person seen with Johnson before she went missing, was released from prison on August the 1st after serving time for his parole violations. Police say that when asked by a deputy why he thought he was targeted, Bumpass replied, maybe because of the Paige Johnson thing. So then I went on his Twitter feed, which he don't, tweet a lot. And I didn't bring it down with me, but he said something about, I don't know what to feel about the article about me being hit. But I do know what I feel about the media or something to that. Like,
yeah,
they're bringing up the Paige thing. You know what I mean? That's what I took from it.
Right.
So, yeah, there's just some weird stuff about that. Do you guys have...
I think he did it.
Yeah.
I mean... or he had a lot to do with it.
I think he definitely knows something.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
And I think there's a few people that knows something. But, so today, we were kind of going to do something totally different for this podcast, but today it came over my phone that the remains of a Northern Kentucky teenager who went missing nearly a decade ago has been found. And human remains were found Sunday morning near Williamsburg Township in Claremont County near East Fork State Park.
Which is a popular spot around here. I mean, we go there during the summer.
Yeah, it really is. And it's not as big as some of these other state parks. I mean,
no.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean,
lots of woods.
Definitely, you would think in the past 10 years, a lot of people have probably walked right past her body and
I know,
and not even have known.
Well, there's a lot of little nooks and crannies.
Well, yeah, no, there is.
Oh, yeah.
No, there is.
We take our boat back in some of those little coves and stuff.
There is a lot of areas that aren't
conceal.
easily accessible.
Well,
so, you know.
Did they say kind of whereabouts the body was found?
Well, a woman called 911 and said her husband was deer hunting in the woods and found a burned human skull at the location near Ohio 276.
So it was burned.
Yeah.
So they burned her.
Mm-hmm. According to a recorded call released Wednesday. The Claremont County Sheriff's Office, and this is what was weird, because they pretty much, when this was found, it went to Hamilton County coroner, but immediately Covington police was called. So I'm thinking they knew before they even had the coroner do dental. Yeah. Because the one thing, when she did come up missing, that was on the podcast, and really upset the mom, was they asked for dental records, for her to bring in dental records. Yeah. So they would have that on file if she was ever, found not alive. So, but, I mean, think about it. So, here's this guy lying about where he is. His phone's pinging.
And the locations he's saying he wasn't at.
And they find her body, what was left of her body.
Yeah.
I wonder how he would have gotten away with burning something in Eastport, because their rangers, honestly, find smoke.
You're allowed to have fire.
Yeah, but there's only certain designated areas. You can't light fire anywhere.
But there's also parts, like you said,
you have to think about how big of a fire that would be to burn a human body.
Yeah.
Seriously. That'd be a big fire.
The one...
And you'd smell it.
Right. It's, at this point, of course, because this just recently happened, and they did the press conference this morning that we watched, there's no cause of death, but... it's amazing what they can find out now.
Yeah.
But the one thing that one of the police officers said, there's a lot of nervous people out there today, right now. So they know they've got a body now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's all I'll say on that. But like I said, innocent until proven guilty. But I think I love, and I want to eventually do this, even though it would be really hard. But hearing the stories from the people that have lived it and are living it, the one thing the mom said, that Donna said, is when asked what she felt, did she feel that Paige was still alive?
Right.
And she said, I would know if my daughter was alive, and I don't feel that.
Yeah.
So I think they knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just, but this is closure, even though it's not the closure that you want. But I think in their hearts, they knew if Paige was alive that she would get back to them one way or another. They knew she wasn't a runaway. They knew, something was messed up with the whole situation.
She was a pretty girl, too.
She was beautiful, and her little girl was so cute.
Left a little girl behind, too.
But, so that's why, and like I said, East Fork.
Yeah, it's not far from us. I mean, we fish there every year for the last
five.
My whole life.
One boat ramp's 5 minutes from us. Yeah,
us too.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I mean, there's probably times we've probably
been close.
Been close to that not even known. Fishing in a cove, or because it didn't really say exactly where.
And I don't think they
the
wanted
cell
to.
phone
That lake
tower pinged. Pinged him. But there's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of places in East Fork you can kind of get to.
And from different places,
You know what I mean? And I think, we only got one park ranger.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's not a lot of people that hunt down there. Yeah. I mean, most people are on boats and fishing, or on the one or two trails that they have cleared off for walking. But, I mean, it's also known for,
It's also known for isolated play, because this isn't the only thing they found at East Fork before.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I mean...
A lot of stuff gets found
meth
there.
Labs, some fucking...
there's
found all kinds of whack shit out in East Fork.
Yeah, there is some areas, that... I mean, there's horseback riding there, hiking, but there's also really dense areas that, would be hard to get into, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, I guess if you know the area,
Yeah.
But from whatever it looks like,
could you imagine that poor hunter?
Route
32 is right there, so you can jump right off one road and be right down.
You could go straight into Afton to Half Acre and go down
right
this little road that takes you to a dead end, and you can go into East Fork.
Well, there's a lot of roads that
dead end off into that
used
area.
To be there.
East Fork was a
they
city
just flooded
that they just
it.
Flooded.
Yeah, I mean, there's still submerged.
But you can park at the end of it.
There's still submerged houses out in the lake. they just flooded houses and they just flooded the area.
Yeah.
Vacant.
Yeah.
Vacant.
Yeah.
That would be deranged.
Yeah, we think.
We hope.
But yeah, it's definitely crazy to think about how many times we've been out there in the last 10 years and how many times we've been right around by her,
Yeah, especially when we had our bass boat and we could get really back there in those areas. Yeah. I mean, we were really deep in some of them areas. And, the thing that and like I said, East Fork is a nice...
It is.
A nice place. But, and people come from all around. But for his cell phone to ping that area.
Yeah.
And then this morning, or not this morning, but for that to come up this morning that they found
even remains. His route that he traveled is like down from Covington down to Kellogg.
Yeah.
Down to 32. I would guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right into
that's
East Fork.
The way you would go if you get there fast.
So I'm sure the police are. I'm not sure. I know because I know they were talking today at the press conference. They do have jurisdiction things because Claremont, she was from Northern Kentucky,
right?
Kenton County.
They'll probably work together on it because
because
they probably know more about these guys. Covington police probably knows more about these guys than Claremont will.
And where did the crime actually happen? Yeah. Was she...
Because I wonder if there's any, evidence of it being burned, her being burned there.
So what I was thinking, if when they, because there was a claim that they were searching, they had searched 2 miles from the area they found her.
Yeah.
But, you would think if they just burned their body, you'd think you would be able to tell. You know what I mean? Or maybe...
Or a dog would.
Maybe...
They had dogs.
That's what I mean.
They did have dogs.
Or a dog would be able to smell that.
Yeah, they did have cadaver dogs.
Unless it wasn't burned there and it was just dropped there.
Maybe it came back.
Or maybe it took them a while to put her there.
And I know more things. And we'll do a follow-up. Yeah, we'll definitely, it's more, like I said, this is new. This just came out.
Yeah, we'll have to talk more on it every time we hear more.
Get more info.
So I'm sure they'll be doing another update and everything. But they said that the police went, because, some of the detectives and everything that was part of this case 10 years ago have retired or moved to different departments. But they were all so connected to this case.
Yeah.
And, so they were all contacted about it. And then one of the reporters, asked how the family took it. And, how do you think they took it?
Right, man. Come on.
Actually, from what I heard on the podcast from her mother's mouth, I think they knew. They expected this outcome. I think they're just happy that...
Because they knew she would have been home by then.
That, that they will be able to put her to rest.
And hopefully they can maybe find something out with the remains in the area.
What's left?
I'm sure that area is shut down.
Oh, it's
locked
shut
the fuck down right now.
Yeah.
We're already in quarantine anyways.
Hopefully they can, I know. Hopefully they can find her clothes or,
10 years, that's a long time, man. That's...
Yeah.
They get some dogs out there.
Yeah.
Let them smell the area.
That's because they did have the dogs. So, I'm wanting to know where, because they said, is there more, what I want to know, is there more cell towers or just one at East Fork, and where is that? And is that the area that they searched? What made them go to the area that they searched?
Is there one across the street at the local Boar's Head? What's in that big fence over there? Am I wrong?
I don't know, but now when I pass there, I'll be looking for one. Or when we're out on the Sea-Doo, I'll be looking for one.
Right.
Because I'm really curious to know where that is, and is that the area in East Fork, or did they search all of? That would be a big undertaking to do all of East Fork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
But I remember that too. There was tons of people. I think they did shut down East Fork during that time when they were searching.
Probably, yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately, it's a sad ending for Paige, family and her daughter only 2 years old.
Yeah. It's terrible.
But, you know, it seems that, you know, they got their closure anyway, and they can put her to rest. And
hopefully they'll get more. And
hopefully that they'll find out exactly, and I think they know already who did it, but I think they'll, you know...
put it out there.
I hope whoever was in, you know, taking a life like that, and I don't know. It's a lot. It's sad. It's 17 years old. You got your whole life ahead of you. And then you got a little girl that's involved in it that's never going to know her mom. So...
yep.
You know, but you guys got anything else to add to that?
I think so.
We will do a follow-up as we learn more.
Yes.
And maybe on the next podcast, if we learn a little bit more about what's going on, we'll just do a little update on that. So you guys know what... because, like I said, it's so close to us that, you know, it's pretty...
easy to talk about.
Yeah. And it's very, you know... and like I said, I do remember it very well. I remember when all that went down. So, you know...
like, subscribe, share, comment, find us on Facebook.
Yep. Don't be our next episode.
Take care. Stay healthy.
Deranged Nation.
You've been listening to the Deranged Nation podcast. Join us every Wednesday night for a new episode as we bring you true crime, unsolved mysteries, and other deranged stories. This episode was sponsored by Braps MX and ATV Pro Shop. Visit them at brapsmx.pro. Also, visit our host, teresagableman.com, New York Times best-selling paranormal romance author of the Protectors series, available on amazon.com. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.